and welcome to the Double Fall Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Will. I'm accompanied by my good friend, Coach Jeremy. Jeremy, it's been a while since we talked, so in today's episode, I figured we would just give some updates on a lot of the top players on the ATP Tour. There's been some crazy results here in February.
We were definitely going to do an emergency episode based on the results of our boy pod favorite Denis Shapovalov, the tournament he's most notorious at, which is the Dallas Open. And our boy Marcus Giron also pushed, Taylor Fritz to a tight three sets. We thought we were going to have the Giron Shapo final we've been talking about for the last year, but
if a couple results in Dallas went a little differently, we definitely would have had a podcast a little bit earlier. But since Chapo and our boy Garone, they didn't come through, we were no reason to talk about that, gloss it over. But, all jokes aside, like starting with that Dallas, we might as well start there. The man of the hour, Ben Shelton. He takes out Taylor Fritz there and shows some insane grit to get over Chapo in the semis and then Taylor in the finals there. That was a real impressive showing from Ben, and he's got a case for that American, number one slot there, especially taking out Fritz.
Yeah, it's a tight race. Everyone in that, I actually, didn't realize that Zverev now is really in that same little threshold, a couple 100 points separating number 4, number 10, and beyond. Like it's so contentious and tight in that area, and Shelton's right in the thick of it, and so is Fritz at 7 for Fritz and 9 for Shelton.
Yeah, I believe he's up to right now in the live rankings. Shelton is 8, Taylor Fritz is 7, and Zverev is number 4.
Yeah, so I mean, Shelton could very easily be American number 1 within weeks or months, or maybe Fritz goes on a tear and improves his ranking a little bit. I don't know. I think they're just going to be battling for that American number 1 spot all year long.
Yeah, so, those are two guys. I mean, especially now as we're heading into March with 2 big Masters 1000s upcoming in Indian Wells in Miami. Fritz and Shelton, spotlight's on. Fritz has played a lot of tennis. Who knows how his body's going to hold up. Ben, we saw the success in Dallas and how he is as a player. So, we're going to learn a lot about the status and how these guys, stack up against each other very soon, because the Masters 1000 is the big stage. Everybody's in these draws, and we're going to get some insane matchups and some hard rounds, early rounds especially. Fritz has had success here before, so I'm excited to see what these guys can do, especially, on these American hard courts coming up.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this is a little unrelated to Fritz and Shelton, but it is a guy that was in their same exact elite company a good portion of last year, Jack Draper, who he broke through, was at number 4. You were going insane with your picks. I don't know, he might be the guy. You and a lot of other people. It's well, I guess we found the guy that's going to be the number 3, for the triumvirate that is Alcaraz, Sinner, and Draper, because it wasn't Rune because he's out. Who, by the way, Rune, I'm predicting a severe ranking drop. He's number 17 right now. Don't think he's going to hang there for much longer, but we could see.
Yeah,
I could be
he's
wrong.
out for injury right now.
I know, yeah. But regardless, Draper is in, he was, at 4. Then all of a sudden just injury out for a couple of months, and he's in danger of dropping, since he won Indian Wells last year, in danger of dropping out of being a seed for, majors, and he's going to have to fight really hard to get back there. And the fact that he lost to Rinder Ganesh kind of, convincingly, I don't know if he's ready to be a top 30 player right now. And Indian Wells is just full of, players of that caliber. So he's going to have his handful if he wants to even make it a deep run to try to hold on to points and nonetheless win it.
Yeah.
We'll see. Looking like it could be an early exit.
I hope not, because for, like you alluded to before, last year from March to June or whatever, when he won Indian Wells, he beat Alcaraz, and then he made the finals, and I think it was Madrid, where he took out Musetti and then like lost to Casper Ruud in the finals. Like Jack Draper was a bona fide top 5 player in the world. He has that ceiling. His body, like we've always said, is the question mark. So, I mean, we saw Fees make a quick comeback from injury and not have a lot of matches under his belt and still have success making a final in Doha. So hopefully Draper, like on one of his best surfaces, like a slow hard court Indian Wells, can thrive and not like his ranking plummet too much. Because yeah, I agree. Dropping 1,000 points in your rankings is going to be tough to, you're going to have to grind to get that back with the results over the year. And a lot is going to be dependent on how healthy and how many matches he plays. But I mean, I'm excited to see what Draper does in Indian Wells too. It's going to be interesting storyline to follow.
Another segue between the Shelton and Fritz contending for the American number 1. All of a sudden, it's going to be Nori and our boy Draper. I think that is very possible. They could be content, both in the kind of 20s, because I think Nori's on the up. He's been slowly on the upswing, no pun intended, for the last like year or two. But like I think he's very competitive. He's shown with guys in that like number, let's say 8 to 20 range. Like that's not really a huge upset for him if he beats one of those guys.
Cam Nori is number 29 in the live rankings right now. And I mean, like, if Draper theoretically lost in like round 1 of Indian Wells and he subtracts like 900 ranking points, he would be like in that range of Cam Nori zone. So you're not too far off on that take. I don't want to be that pessimistic with Jack because I like him as a player and a personality on tour and I want to root for him. So that's like a little tough. But I mean, we saw with Tsitsipas how he didn't defend his title in Doha, and now he's outside the top 40. Like Tsitsipas, like when these guys just have like one blip on the schedule where they rely on that huge chunk of points, you can really see like how their rankings dip when the rest of the year, your tennis doesn't back it up. And once these guys just got got a title and their whole, season was based around that. And now that, those points are coming off and the results don't lie, it's tough to see, where people stack up here.
Yeah, Tsitsipas is a guy that I definitely wanted to touch on because I know you've given up on him, but like when he beat when he had that win,
we'll save that.
when he had that win over Medvedev, I forget what was that, Qatar or one of those tournaments recently. That's like solid. I don't know if Medvedev's 11 or 12, but you got to call it a top 10 win. That's great. But then the rest of the season, Tsitsipas has just kind of had routine losses, like lost to Mahatch second round of AO, lost to Bear pretty routinely. Van de Zandschulp kind of looked like a way better player, which may be more credit to the Dutchman there.
Yeah.
Maybe Botic is going to try to make his top 20 bid. He can't be too far off. He's been balling out. But moral of the story, Steph has looked a little second rate. Like he hasn't looked like that. Like he's going to be in the race to Turin. Like he's nowhere near that right now. So I don't know. Like, is he just going to have to embrace that whole being in the like fighting to stay inside the top, like stay as a seed? I don't think he is a seed right now. He's probably not. He's probably, like between 30 and 40 in the worlds.
Yeah, right now he's like 42 in the live rankings. And
I mean, he's going to have to put together a lot of wins, and there's so many good guys, and strength of the draws, really important. Like,
and I mean,
people at that level.
Yeah, I mean it's dire times for Stefanos Tsitsipas, and people they like to highlight the weakness of the one-hander, especially on return. And I think we've seen in his like break percentage that he does struggle, especially in quicker conditions, to break guys' serve when there's so many killers on tour. and guys like Talon Greekspor that can just serve with the best of on any given day and beat like Mensik, who's been real hot. So you got to compete with guys like that on a day in and day out. So it's not easy. And Stefanos, I want to root for him. I thought he was going to have the one-hander torch passed after he beat Federer in 2009 in the Australian Open, like I think it was like round of 16. So like Stefanos, he's made Grand Slams. He's made Grand Slams finals. He was one set away from winning a Grand Slam final. He's been I think he was live world number 3 in the rankings. He's been top 10 for like 6 years. I think the last time he's dropped outside the top 40 was when he was 19. So I mean, like he's had a hell of a career. He's had a hell of a career. Like we kind of have taken for granted how long guys like Stefanos and Zverev have just been cemented at the top of the game, and regardless of injury, they've been there. And the concerning part about this blip in, I wouldn't even say form, because I thought Stefanos has been playing some of his best tennis recently, but like the results are what the results are at this point. So it's tough to like say that, oh, Steph is just hurt, which he might be, and we don't know. But this is more just like an overall culmination of poor play and not executing in matches and getting over and getting those winning results and stacking them on a week in to week out. And, I don't think Stefanos I think he's better than the top 40 in the world. I think, hopefully he can come up from here, but maybe this is like a rock bottom that Steph had to hit where he finally now can like reinvent himself and figure it out and gain some confidence, because I want to see him back at the top of the game and, him back in the top 10, because I think that's where his best tennis belongs. And we haven't seen his best tennis since 4 years, unfortunately.
It's been a while, like since we started doing this podcast to, AO of 2024, Tsitsipas has not really made any waves at all. He's only just been on the decline. So yeah, I just think I thought this about Medvedev when he had such a rough year last year. At a point, I'm like, I guess people have kind of just figured out how to beat, a player like that. But now Medvedev is resurging and working out some kinks of his game to be less predictable and beatable. But like the Lerner Tiens and Jakub Mensiks are rolling up. Fonseca, a little bit slower progress than we might have been hoping for, but I still think that Fonseca will just grow a little bit more, improve his physicals, and that'll put him back, or up into the top 15 discussion soon. He doesn't look like he's there yet this year, but Mensik and
he's got plenty of time really though.
For sure. Yeah, there's no rush. But like Fonseca Tsitsipas, that's a pick'em.
Yeah.
Right now. They're like neck and neck.
Yeah, and just to put a cap on Tsitsipas and Medvedev and Zverev and that whole generation, as a tennis player, as long as your body holds up and you get stronger and faster over time, the experience is supposed to help for the most part. Like Carlos is having positive experience every year on tour, and every year we've seen a steady incline in development for guys like Carlitos, guys like Sinner. Now, at some point, Stefanos he's not inclining anymore. At what point can he come back up? Can he stagnate? So Stefanos, he also the culmination of his experiences haven't always been the most positive. Those slam finals losses have stacked for Stefanos and Zverev, and hopefully they can get over that and learn from and be better players. But hopefully they still have time because they're only 28. So I think we're still going to see them around for a good 5 years at a super high level, and then we'll see get from there when they get in their later 30s. But see how it goes. But you mentioned Mensik before, and I thought on Gil Gross's podcast, he made an excellent point where Mensik is just a very similar version for play style for Zverev and Medvedev, where he wants to have his service games very quick, very fast. He relies on a huge serve for free points. I think Mensik is 6'5". Mm-hmm. So having that great serve, he also complements that greatly with excellent movement. So he plays very defensive and sure on both wings in his return games and makes life hell. relying on his defense, similar to Zverev, similar to Medvedev, where another comparison he made was the strength and the relying on the backhand. Mensik, I think Medvedev and Zverev, their forehands are solid, but their main weapon is their backhand. And man, Mensik's backhand has been an absolute weapon so far in this in Qatar and then Dubai so far. And he's like really, the ball control on that side of the wing is just like unbelievable. So I really love him as a player overall. He's an exciting guy.
Yeah, he's a problem. Like for like this year, especially Headband Mensik just entered the chat.
Oh yeah,
like,
he leveled up.
Yeah, this is super. Everyone's in serious trouble. Like all of the 4 through Mensik's probably 12, 13 in the rankings, something like that. But everyone that's ahead of him
12.
who's not Djokovic, Sinner, or Alcaraz is in deep trouble if they run into him, because he's just like so coordinated, like and like literally fast. Like watching it, like I don't know. Like don't get me wrong, Zverev and Medvedev, as uncoordinated as he looks, it's very like great movers and really quick and whatnot. But Mensik just looks like he moves like a 6-foot person, like more so than like any other tall person that I've seen play.
Yeah,
like really insane how well he covers the court. I'm predicting some really big results from Mensik. Nothing would really surprise me. Like him winning a Masters 1000, I think is very he's kind of due for that.
I mean, well, what we talked about with the 1,000 points coming off for Jack Draper, Mensik's about to have 1,000 points come off very soon in Miami. And where he's up to number 12 in the live rankings right now. He's only 20 years old, which is insane. And, he is steadily progressing here. And how is he going to back up last year's performance in Miami? I think on a fast hard court is probably one of his better surfaces. He hits a really flat ball and can take time away from guys. He's not like a Mempeshi Paragard where he's just like a 0 on return. Like he is getting a lot of returns in play and getting himself into rallies. And something that I've noticed recently in his matches is a willingness to come to net. He doesn't have like Alcaraz level hands at net yet. He just has like pretty solid volleys, but where we've always, criticized guys like Medvedev and Zverev who just want to sit back and camp and play defense and get into a baseline rally because they know they can outlast you or outsmart you tactically. Mensik shows a willingness to come forward and end points, and I think that's a huge part of his game that he can develop, especially coupling that willingness to transition to net with mixing in the serve and volley too. So Mensik's a real threat, and he's going to be around for a while.
Very complete player. It's unique for someone that's so tall.
And Fonseca gets all the love, but we got to start talking about Jakub Mensik for sure.
Yeah.
What's another guy that you've had your eye on this February and had some results that's impressed you?
I was just like trying to think of whether or not Demonar's like one of his nicknames is the Tasmanian Devil. I don't know. It should be. I don't know. Maybe starting now, but Demon has backed up that he was the number 6 seed at the AO, made the quarters, showed that he's just not quite there for Alcaraz yet, but one of the next best things the tour has to offer. Super duper impressive run at Rotterdam, beating Feast. Wait, I actually wrote this down because I was like, I can't believe it. Feast, the Stanimal, Fave of the Pod, Bodik, Van de Zandschulp in a gritty 3-set affair.
In front of his home crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Took out Humbert and beat Felix, who FAA has looked, super top 10-y all year. And for Demon to take that out, he's
such
very
a good way
top-10-y.
That's such a good way to describe his form.
Because Felix has not been top 10-y for his entire career, but he's finally there, so he's backing it up.
He's a streaky player for sure. He's hot and cold at times. Yeah, going into that Rotterdam final, everybody was picking Felix over de Minaur, And I was like, guys, no way. Like, Demon's a bad matchup for Felix. He just gets too many balls back in play, and just like, he's just a nightmare to play against for a guy who like Felix, who wants to end points early, and not get stuck into super long rallies. And Felix is one of those guys that everyone is saying on Twitter, oh, if it's not Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic, it might be Felix. And Demon showed that he's at that same echelon of guys who are serious contenders to make Grand Slam quarterfinals, to win 500 tournaments. He finally got over the hurdle here in Rotterdam on his third try. The past 2 years, he lost to Sinner and then Alcaraz, and then finally he got over Felix. So the narrative
way you
was
said
there.
that, it sounded like you meant like 500 tournaments. I was like doing the math. I'm like, he's won 500 tournaments.
No, like 500 points in the 500 level tournaments. Oh, that's funny. But yeah. I mean, yeah, Demon's been seriously impressive, and now he's like that kind of gatekeeper for the top 5. Like, if you can't get through Alex de Minaur's defense and beat him in a match, then you probably don't have top 5 level weapons. Because that's where he's at right now in the rankings, and I think it's a perfect spot for him right here in the live number 6.
Yeah, I think he kind of took Andrey Rublev was in that exact same spot for years. I don't know if it was like 3-4 years, but something like a substantial amount of time that he was like just outside the top 5. And Rublev is another guy I wanted to talk about. He is definitely having a resurging year and looking like your pick for him ending the year in the top 10 is looking promising. And I think so as well. Definitely looking like a top 10 player.
Even though it was a straight set loss to Carlitos Alcaraz in Doha in the semifinals, I thought the level I saw from Rublev was like seriously impressive. He has that offensive arsenal to match a guy like Carlos and with the best of him in the game. And he was going back.
The flow is insane. I don't know if he's planning on chopping that soon, but that is the flow is crazy.
His hair has gone absolutely wild. And I think he is just in a flow state where he's playing some absolutely great tennis. And the result wasn't there, but if he got that first set with Carlos, things could have went a little differently. He lost a close 2-setter, but overall, like, he's playing now in Dubai. I could honestly see him winning this tournament because he's playing that level of tennis. And I've always loved Rublev's like overall weapons. He's one of the best combinations of like forehand and backhand. Like, he is so sure on each wing and can generate pace or absorb pace well from the baseline. It's always been the question of like variety. He's kind of a little bit one-dimensional, but like just from like hanging side to side, like matching cross-court rallies with Carlos and Yannick, like he can do that.
Yeah, like what you touched on earlier with the experience factor, Rublev is, becoming one of the most experienced players on the ATP Tour, and like experienced at the highest level the game has to offer. So look out for him to like definitely rise in the rankings, 10 spots, if not more. Like, yeah, that's what I think is just so insane. Like, when you look at the seeds, like the top 32, it's so interchangeable. And then people who aren't a seed that could very well creep back into the becoming a seed picture. It's like so tight. It's insane. But
that's why we're here to talk about it. I love it. I literally look at like the ATP live rankings, I think like almost every day. I just love seeing.
I need to do it more. It's like, what?
I was like, wild. What's going on? Where are guys? Like, why does this result matter so much? Like, I love the dynamic and like the constant shifting. And, that's why it's exciting to follow tennis, because like Nadal said, every week is a different story. And I like to watch the show go on. So
like Greek Sport is playing Rublev in the semis, right?
Yeah.
So that, like, in a way is a pick'em, but like seemingly Rublev would be a huge favorite. Like, the rankings, Greek Sport is probably in the 20s and Rublev's like low teens, so it's probably not so skewed rankings wise, but like, Rublev's got to be a heavy favorite.
Oh yeah, and we always say like the transitive property doesn't work, but like Greek sport did show he could just take out Jakub Mensik in a close 3-setter. And we just
True.
talked about Mensik being like a top 10-y kind of guy. And
Mm-hmm.
now this is a semifinal where we got Rublev. He's playing Rublev, who is number 16 and trying to be a top 10 guy. On the other side of the semifinals, we have Medvedev versus Felix, which is like an absolute blockbuster. And that's a pick'em. That isn't like a legit pick'em on the sports book. That could literally go either way. Just like, who knows what madness Medvedev's going to create. But, I mean, this has been a fun February so far. And these results have been, like, really all over the place. And, you know, it's kind of crazy. This is like probably one of the longest we've gone in the episodes without mentioning Alcaraz and Sinner. But like that's like, yes, Carlos has been phenomenal. What are we gonna say? You know,
he won Qatar in such dominant fashion. It's like breeze over that. Like that final against Feast, Feast was playing incredible that tournament and in that match, and 2-1 dismantling in 50 minutes by Carlitos is just a testament to he's just a cut above everyone right now. Him and Sinner, okay, obviously forever the yin and yang, and so they're at the same line. And Djokovic too, but everyone else, Alcaraz is just cut above.
Yeah, Carlos has been like an absolute joke so far. I'm not too worried about Sinner. Yes, he lost to Djokovic. I don't think that's going to define him this year. On a fast hardcore, I still on a fast surface, I do slightly give the edge to Sinner. On slower conditions, I give the edge to Alcaraz.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up in the Indian Wells is going to be such an interesting dynamic to go from like a slow, gritty, windy conditions in Indian Wells that probably favors Carlitos. And then the next week, we're going to go into like quicker, slicker conditions in Miami that probably favors Sinner a little bit. So, I mean, we're going to get into those guys. We're going to see them play in the huge stake tournaments in the Masters 1000s coming up. So like, that's why, you know, it's okay us not mentioning them and focusing on these other guys, because these other guys have been absolutely showing out. And the rest of the top 10 minus like Musetti because he's hurt have been like absolutely performing and they're getting the job done. And it's been so much fun getting to see the inter combinations of matchups and the different, you know, combinations we can get of guys playing each other and who just played who. And the next week they switch who played the semifinals because they're all getting the same, you know, deep in tournaments. So
thank God Djokovic is playing. Well, fingers crossed. I hope he doesn't pull out last second, but I want to see him play Indian Wells and let other people get a crack at Djokovic, because it is pretty astounding that he really has been beating everyone besides like the Musetti one. Yes, grain of salt, I guess. But he's really been beating everyone besides Alcaraz and Sinner. It's ranked number 3. It had been not rankings wise. He, you know, showed these they're bit 3, but now just, you know, objectively in every way, third best player in the world. Zverev, uncharacteristic loss to fave of the pod, Kuzmanovic.
Dude, slim, thick Miamir is so dangerous. He sheds some weight, and he just takes out Zverev in 3 sets. I swear to God, dude. Slim, thick Kecmanovic. Watch out for him. He's going to take over the tour.
Miamir's been on a heater. He's literally been on a heater this year.
I mean, Acapulco has had some crazy upsets. I mean, it's the week before 2 Masters 1000s for these top guys in like absolutely brutal, humid conditions. And Miamir has just been absolutely showing out. I think he won again today. I think he played at Maine. Mm-hmm. And man, he looked dangerous. I don't really take too much stock away from that from Zverev. I actually kind of liked the way Zverev was playing. It was just Miamir can match that level for an hour, and he just happened to do it that day. But yeah, that was a crazy result. I had that on my phone at work watching that the other day. That was so funny to see. I was like, of course, Kecmanovic is just about to beat Zverev for no reason. Like, I was like, people don't appreciate what's going on right
shadow. Now. Kecmanovic could shave, and within 3 minutes, he has a 5 o'clock shadow again. Like, that's the energy he's dishing out. But
yeah, that'd be hilarious if he like beat Tiafoe on the Acapulco finals.
You could do it. That's a pick 'em for me. I
Mhm.
do want to give a little homage to the American men because uh, we are like I know Italy has like a ton of fantastic players, but right now, like I was looking at the top 100, and there's literally Tommy Paul, Sebastian Corda, Lerner Tien, Ben Shelton, Taylor Fritz, Quinn,
Yeah,
Mickelson, Nakashima, Tiafoe, Garone, Kovacevic, Brooksby, Spizzirri comes out of nowhere.
yeah.
He's like next level. Takes a set off Sinner. Yes, an ailing Sinner, but literally won a set on Sinner and is now like top 70 in the world. Spizzirri, who was the University of Texas player
Yeah, I'm not sure
last
where he
year,
went to
2 years ago, but
college.
regardless, Opelka back into form, limited because he's literally 7 feet tall, but whatever. Uh, Nava and Svida, like I'm getting into names that I've never even heard these people's names pronounced before, but they're in the top 100. Michael Zhang definitely going to be top 100
Oh,
soon.
our boy Michael Jang.
He's going to be top 50 by this time next year.
We
That's a
gotta get
bold
him on the
prediction, but
pod.
yeah, man, I was bumping elbows with him not too long ago.
Yeah,
And then he just went
but
to Colombia and just like dominated. But regardless, the American representation is crazy right now. Quarter with the W
and Del
over,
Rey, that was a
yeah,
serious win, dude. Over Tommy Paul in
awesome.
the finals.
Yeah.
That's some
Tommy
great
Paul
stuff.
beat Fritz in the semis, right?
Yeah,
And I mean, yeah, just all the Americans, uh, like all the Americans are representing doing great, but specifically, I like Corda having a big bounce back year. Lerner Tien has looked like concerningly good. Like it's like, wait, is he like gonna rise like more? Like,
yeah. Like,
is
is
he
he like
gonna?
top 15 good or like top
Yeah,
20? Like,
I
how
don't
high can
know.
he go?
Him and TP are right next to each other right now in the rankings, and they both, TP was top 10,
Yeah,
if not top 10, like 11 or 12 or something last year. I know, like, no, he was definitely top
his
10 last year.
his career high is number 8 actually in the world.
There you go. So TP looking really good, promising to get back up there, and we say it again and again, but there's so many guys in the same exact position as TP,
Yeah,
but there's no reason why not. Why not Tommy Paul? Why not?
and
And right now, Lerner Tien's in that same exact spot, and Korda's trying to get himself back in that spot, and Tiafoe's also trying to get himself.
Tiafo. Yeah, I was about to
Nakashima,
mention.
absolute in silence. Like no one's talking about Nakashima. He just rolls up, clubs a serve, and just annihilates a forehand. Oh, okay,
just been the
Nakashima.
most just been the most like base top 50 guy for the past like 5 years and nobody's talked about it.
Exactly. Now listen, he's a seed. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
whoa, a seed at majors. Brandon Nakashima.
I
Yeah,
absolutely
it's
love it.
exciting stuff.
And I mean that's why these big tournaments are so much fun because so many ranking points are on the line and everything's going to shift and I cannot wait for these Masters 1000s. We went through the grind in Australia getting absolutely no sleep to watch these matches and I'm glad that they're going to be a little bit later in the day and I don't have to wake up at like 4 a.m. to watch these finals and all the matches all day long. But yeah, Jeremy, it's I love the place where tennis is at and it's going to be a great year and we're heading up into like absolute grind time because it's not only the Sunshine Double, like clay season is around the corner. We're only a couple months away from that. And man, like, has this year absolutely flown by so far?
Which one does Tsitsipas always win? Is that Madrid?
Monte
Oh,
Carlo. It's the
Monte
first
Carlo.
the first Masters 1000.
That's
We
so
we
funny.
really we really can't gauge Stefanos's true form until we get to Monte Carlo. If he's struggling there, then we're like, okay, we gotta seriously press an alarm button here because he has literally been whole dominance in Monte Carlo throughout his career.
I just distinctly remember, I think it was 2024, that he just had no results at all. Like he was just like the worst top 100 player. Like lost first round, and then Monte Carlo comes up and he just wins the whole thing. Like what?
They're like, how
Like
does this
that
guy
made
not
no
have like
sense.
5 slams? If there was a Grand Slam in Monte Carlo, Stefanos might have a couple. Oh gosh,
He just
yeah,
loves the
man.
scenery.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. He's like, he just soaks in the ocean view and just like harnesses it all into his tennis. But yeah, Jeremy, I can't wait to watch this tennis, and hopefully you guys are enjoying us talk about tennis. So don't forget to drop a like below if you enjoyed the video so far, and if you made it to here, it would be a big help for the channel if you guys press that subscribe button down below. So, Jeremy, we'll definitely reconvene soon. Hopefully the draw is coming out in a couple of days on Tennis Channel, so I'm really looking forward to that for Indian Wells coming up next week. But
It's
yeah,
super
Jeremy,
exciting. I think Rybakina is going to take over the world #1 ranking in the
I
women's
would love
side pretty
that.
soon, if not Coco. But I think Sabalenka by year end might be giving that up to Coco or Rybakina. Swiatek always looming there, so we'll have to wait and see who wins Indian Wells on the women's side. But
Yeah, Sabalenka is always a tough test there, but you got to root for Rybakina there, the Australian Open champ. But
let's see.
Jeremy, a lot of fun
Carlitos,
talking.
vamos.
Jeremy, a lot of fun talking tennis as always, and keep double faulting out there.
Peace.